My life and political thoughts as a tarot reader who thinks YouTube wants to know what the hell I'm thinking. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Auntie K's Tarot. Okay, so if you watch me, you're probably on the left. So I want us to step through our politics and think about things. If you're watching my channel, you support Palestine, and if you come all this way with me, you support resistance and you support liberation. Presumably you understand that also means the same for everyone. None of us are free till all of us are free. We need a global LandBack. And as we see what's unfolding in the U.S., I want us to understand that since the U.S. is settler empire, you are watching the inevitable conclusion of settler colonialism. Wherever else you are, you're going to experience this too. In one form or another, there's going to be layers. There are people in the United States waving American flags while opposing ICE. Completely unironically, the fact that, like, it's not that you guys voted wrong and ended up with Trump. This was coming one way or another. 4 years later, slightly different flavor. There's no good version of settler colonialism. You can't save the United States, you can't save Canada, so on and so forth. Trump said nobody's going to come after him in a military manner against if he takes Greenland. There's a military base, American military base on Greenland, okay? There's no Danish military base on Greenland. Greenland's one of several versions around the world of a two-state solution. Canada and the United States are multi-state solutions, where reservations are sovereign nations with no real sovereignty. In the United States right now, the U.S. has kidnapped Oglala Lakota citizens and is holding them hostage unless the Lakota Nation makes agreements with immigration, and the Lakota Nation is refusing. They're not, and I'm proud to be Lakota in this moment that our nation's refusing. Like, if nobody wants to be kidnapped by ICE, anyone who is wants to be freed, but not at the expense of other people, right? And that's what it would be. The only way you don't free your people at the expense of thousands more being imprisoned. And that would be wrong. And our people know that. And they're holding them at this, where they're holding them is where they held the Lakota 38. This is an indigenous concentration camp. I need a new phone stand. It pops out. Okay, so they're being held at Fort Snelling, which, as Lakota people, we consider a concentration camp. It's a military concentration camp designed to hold Lakota and Dakota people prisoner during the Dakota Wars. Greenland is sovereign, but under Denmark. Denmark is supposed to defend it and protect it. And Trump is betting that they won't. And they're not going to show up for those people, for those citizens. I want you to pay attention to that. I want you to pay attention to the behavior of Mark Carney and Pierre Poilievre and how they've been behaving. They're sucking up to the U.S. They're probably not going to support NATO if NATO stood against the U.S. over Greenland, and I kind of doubt that NATO will. And Canada will probably side and suck up with the U.S. And just like Greenland, Canada has American military bases, except they're officially Canadian military bases. It's just that all the military bases in so-called Canada have American military on them. So like Greenland, the invasion's already here. They just have to point the guns at you. Don't try and save Canada, because it's not going to try and save you. If you're American, don't bother trying to save the United States. It's not going to save you. Even if you magically had Democrats, they're not going to bring normal back where white people were safe and everyone else is still dying. But they're not even going to come save you. They're not going to come rescue you. Why do you think Charlie Angus is losing his shit trying to get regular Canadians to we're going to save ourselves, we're going to save Canada, because Charlie Angus knows the U.S. was we're taking over Canada. Carney, Poilievre, they're both going to be okay, all right, okay. The thing about a settler colony is settlers are a military asset. Your worth is to hold property, and only some of you hold property now, most don't. So you're not creating sacred white property that is immoral to invade or bomb, which is the only kind of property that's immoral to evade or bomb under this system that we live in called white supremacy. But that's not really, most of you aren't holding that sacred property anymore, and your bodies are excess, and corporations are the new sacred. Yeah. What's more important than the bodies? Who work for the HBC? The HBC, the actual owners, the company, the money that they're making. So things are going to be like that. And to these people, your bodies aren't valuable enough anymore. So that might be a good reason to not put all your hope and faith and liberalism into those systems anymore. And I know everybody has different ideas of what system will work, but I'm going to suggest that what was my friend Muhammad, who's been on here many times, says that the nation state was created the creation of settler colonialism. So 1492. They didn't all exist in 1492, but that's what created all the nation states we have now. We all have nation states now. So stop fighting for those. The peasant didn't want to save some feudalism. They wanted a new system, not capitalist colonialism. That got decided by other people, by the elites. In the old version of the tech bros, when sailing the seas was the new tech. Don't fight for that anymore. Just stop fighting for nation states. They're all nation states. Stop fighting for that. You don't know what's going on in another country is where people are rising up against their government. You know, that happens here. If the U.S. invades here, some idiots, especially in Alberta, are going to beg for it. Some people are going to beg King Charles to save them. Some people are going to just, we need to be more socialist, we need to be more capitalist, we need to be more AI, we need capital and money. It will all still be about money. And just, if the micro elite's holding it or if the elite's holding it, stop fighting for the money. Stop fighting for the nation states. And so who do we decide? What land are you on? Find the people from the land whose land you're on, who are fighting for the land. Okay? In every people, on every land, you will find people fighting for power. Ever since 1492, every side has someone who will fight for that power. Find the people who are fighting for the land. Find the indigenous people who are fighting for the land. Some of us will be fighting for the land. Some of us will not be fighting for the land. Whose side do you want to be on? The ones who are fighting for the land are going to be the ones who are fighting for the most vulnerable. Every time. Every time. Not every environmentalist is fighting for the land. So pay attention. Not every indigenous person either. There's an indigenous nation fighting an indigenous corporation over old growth mining out west in BC. Because that's Canada's approach, is to create indigenous extraction companies. Indigenous owned is, it's like the medicine wheel cannabis stores in Toronto. Indigenous owned? Not really. Indigenous employees front a lot of it, but it's not actually Indigenous owned. There's some Indigenous people whose name are on the correct places in the Canadian paperwork. And they've been stealing our children and raising them to believe in Canada for a long time. They're going to find some sellouts. They've bred Indigenous sellouts for several generations. If you don't figure it out now that the nation state is not on your side, we're fucked. So go figure it out. What will be really interesting is who NATO turns to for help against the US. Like, if they even turn to them for help. I know Canada is going to be like, oh, not going to do anything. The US is our biggest trading partner still somehow, stupidly. I don't think they'll stand up for an island of Indigenous people. I don't think anyone's standing up for an island of Indigenous people. No one's going to tell Americans to leave their bases. NATO keeps gathering because they don't know what to do. Nobody can tell the Americans to leave. So, you know, they say people sold out Maduro. Man, Latin America is still settler colonies, but at least they have, you know, a history of resistance. Seriously. Mark Carney and Pierre Poilievre are two fairly tiny men who spend their entire childhoods getting wedgies and still chasing the bully around and doing homework for them. Carney, Polyev, they don't need to be sold out by their own people. They'd be phoning Trump up and being like, what do you need? What do you need? It's yours, buddy. It's yours. We'll roll out the red carpet for you. Like, I had a star for us. Please give me a seat at the table. Don't make us like Puerto Rico. They're not saving you, so come fight for something different. That's my hot take.